6. Good and wise ways to play stocks for beginners. Stocks are indeed one of the investment instruments that is quite tempting for beginners. The reason is, shares are an investment product that offers the potential for profits with a fairly high percentage. With this potential profit, of course, there are several steps you need to understand in starting to play stocks for beginners now. How to play stocks for beginners well and wisely is an important element in investing regularly and in an orderly manner to improve your financial condition. Steps to determine how to play stocks for beginners well and wisely. In determining how to play stocks well and wisely for beginners, you need to first convince yourself whether stocks are the right investment instrument for you to do now. The reason is, how to play stocks for beginners also requires a strong commitment, because stocks are usually used as a long-term investment tool. In order to provide a clear picture regarding how to play stocks for beginners well and wisely, here are the steps you need to pay attention to when starting to invest in stocks as a beginner. 1. Understand the basic science of shares. In starting a good and wise way to play stocks for beginners, you need to understand the basic knowledge about stock investment itself. Regarding basic science, you will encounter technical terms that will be confusing at first. To make it easier for you to determine how to play shares well and wisely, you can first understand the meaning of shares. In general, shares are often interpreted as a sign of capital participation from a person or other party, including a business entity. In other words, capital or share participation applies to a company or limited liability company. Apart from a general introduction to stocks, when you start playing stocks for beginners regularly, you will also come across the term GMS, which is an abbreviation for General Meeting of Shareholders. The basic function of the GMS is to accommodate the aspirations of shareholders in determining appropriate policies that influence the development of a business entity. GMS is one of the terms or elements that you need to understand when starting to play stocks for beginners. Apart from that, the deeper you learn how to play stocks for beginners, you will also come across other terms, such as issuers and dividends, that you need to understand in depth. 2. Learn stock analysis. As you know in how to play stocks for beginners, you will find that stock movements will continue to change every second. For some ordinary people, the factors determining stock movements are considered mysterious. In fact, if you try to carry out a good and wise way of playing stocks for beginners, you will find that in-depth analysis can help you determine the movement of the stock. Learning stock analysis is not something you can do in a short time. It would be better if you are looking for a careful way to play stocks for beginners, you start investing in stocks by involving a broker who is more knowledgeable and experienced. Of course, you need to pay for the broker's services. However, what you will spend later will provide value commensurate with what you get from playing shares well and wisely. Knowledge of good stock analysis as a first step in how to play stocks for beginners will also make it easier for you to choose which stocks you need to own. You can also apply this analysis in reading the portfolio of each company with the shares you are targeting. Basic knowledge of a company's stock portfolio as a reference for how to play stocks for beginners can provide important information regarding the fundamental financial strength of the company, so you can determine which shares are good and useful for your long-term investment. 3. Make futures transactions. Basically, with large capital, of course, you will get the opportunity to make large profits later. Therefore, often novice investors will start making stock investment transactions with large amounts of capital and impulsively. In fact, this impulsivity also presents big risks too. Another good and wise way to play stocks for beginners that you can follow is to make futures transactions. This definition of futures transactions does not mean that you have to start from too little capital. Initial capital with a large value is commonplace. However, you need to be patient to increase the shares you own in each transaction. Make sure you get the desired return percentage so that your capital funds remain safe for making further investments. 4. Avoid debt futures. Stock transactions will also help you avoid debt risks. Going into debt to invest is not a good and wise way to play stocks for beginners. The reason is, the stock investment you make has the aim of increasing your financial strength in the future. If you are in debt, then these goals will not be achieved well. You might even continue to invest to pay off debt. With debt that gradually has the potential to increase, you will be further away from the initial goals you have set through stock investment. 5. Buy shares when values fall. As a beginner, it would be a good idea for you to start buying shares for the first time when the value of the stock you are targeting is falling. One of the good and wise ways to play stocks for beginners also plays a role in keeping your financial condition stable. With relatively low initial capital, it gives you a feeling of security to learn to understand stock investment directly. In addition, shares that you buy when they are down also have the potential to increase in value in the future. With an increasingly developed understanding of analysis, you can also have the opportunity to determine when the value of the shares you own will increase. If you are running a long-term investment scheme, then this good and wise way to play shares for beginners could be an alternative for you to do.